Welcome. Today, I'm going to be talking about one of the number one things I see in the clinic working with modern women that's affecting their hormones healthily in a healthy way or a not healthy way. And this is one thing that you can do that's natural, that is completely within your hands. And it is probably the foundation I see of affecting women, whether they're having a healthy experience of midlife or struggling in midlife. So most of the women that see me are women that want to know how to approach this time of life. So midlife, menopause, perimenopause, menopause, beyond, as naturally as possible. So wanting to understand their body and what to do about it. So if you're here, you're probably one of those women. And because my training is in Eastern medicine, this is the way that we see all health. All dis-ease is approached from this very natural, holistic perspective. So I say it's the ecosystem that is you. And when you understand that, then you're able to take action and apply this to how you live. So this applies to everything personally and individually and also out in the world, the ecosystem of life or nature. So one thing that I've found working with thousands of women particularly living in the modern world, is that there are many, many similarities, and the imbalances or symptom commonly seen today around midlife and menopause. There's there are a lot of similarities. So menopause is a natural time of life. It's a time when it's one of the key life stage shifts. We go from being fertile, possibly having children, to the wise woman years. Just like puberty takes us from being a childhood into a fertile adult, menopause is a transition. So through that transition, things are supposed to change. That's normal. So we're programmed for this. But what we see in modern day is a lot of imbalance, a lot of women showing up with really debilitating symptoms, things that are upsetting, that are really affecting life and quality of life, whether it be relationships, relationship with ourselves, and just physically how we are. And there are some physical risks that women are showing up with, and there are higher levels than there ever have been before. So this is important. This is a really important conversation, and we need to know how to approach this time and things that we can do so that you as a woman are feeling good and have some power, but also that we're not in this state of imbalance and dis-ease that we are commonly seeing around menopause. So if you don't know me, my name is Angela Warburton. I'm a holistic healer based in Eastern medicine, natural medicine, working for the past 25 years with women in the clinic. But I'm also a midlife woman. So I get what it means to be living and transitioning through this time in the modern world. So everything that I bring is tested through time, the ancient wisdom of Chinese medicine, but also through my clinical experience and work and my personal experience. So everything I do looks at this ecosystem. Everything is affected by everything else. So, and one of the biggest things I see is our internal landscape. It's one of the biggest determiners of how we feel and how we experience life. And because we're living in the modern world, the pace, the expectations, the demands, they're unlike any other time in history. We have just so much information coming at us every day. We live in a culture as well that has fallen out of balance with that, what I call the sacred balance, or the yin and the yang, the masculine and feminine, the being and the doing. That is, we're quite off balance. And we have a culture that values doing, achieving, producing, filling our days with productive actions. And producing is normal. I'm not saying getting stuff done. It's very satisfying. Come on. But overproducing or overproducing at the cost of the non-doing or the resting or that more yin state is not healthy. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the cascade of hormones and how overdoing, stuffing our days full of things, bypassing or overriding our need to slow down, to stop, to listen, to rest, to just take a moment for ourselves, how that has a cascade on hormonal health. So if you're someone and you notice that you push through, oh, I really want to rest, but I feel guilty, feel lazy, or I said I'd show up, or I've really got to do this thing. I'll just get this one more thing done on my list. Or even though I want to take a break, I'm just going to sit at my computer and get through this one more thing. What happens to your body when you push? Where do you notice it in your body? I get really tight. I get short. I get irritable. I get a lot of tightness, a lot through my rib cage and upper shoulders. A lot of women report tightness through here. So my body starts to constrict because I'm pushing through. So what what can happen during midlife? So just first, that's an invitation for you to notice when you start pushing through what happens. And during this transition through menopause, through midlife, it requires us to be discerning, to take time to reassess. We are programmed to live about 100 years. Our body is reprioritizing energy. It says, okay, I'm not going to use and lose energy every month on a cycle. I'm going to reprioritize that for longevity. And so, what this transition often does is it makes us take stock. What is working? What isn't working? Even if it's something you loved in the past, you might not love it now. So, what is it that's trying to get your attention? And often I find during this transition, people have been living in a certain way. It's been fine. They've been able to do it. They had the energy, they could push through that little bit extra. But then when we hit perimenopause or menopause, it we can't do it anymore. It becomes too hard. So we often will bully ourselves into action even when it's not in alignment. And a lot of women report, like, I used to be fine with this. What's wrong with me? Why can't I do this anymore? And there's nothing wrong with you, but it's just like nature. We're programmed to change, like the seasons change, what worked once, styles change. I can, if I'm wearing something from the 80s, well, maybe it's coming back, but it doesn't look the same way as now. What I like to wear now is very different than what I like to wear in my 20s. It's natural that we're going to change. And so even if it's actions, jobs, relationships that worked once, if you're getting discomfort, dis-ease, and you're having to override something in you to produce or to do that thing, that's a cost. And the cost comes at the expense of our hormones. So let me explain a little bit how this works. So if we bully ourselves, if we override, what we're doing is we're telling our body that we're not safe. I want to do this thing, but I'm not doing it. So something kicks us into survival mode. I have to override internally. And whether that's a need for rest, for space, for slowing down, for changing a relationship, whatever it is. And if we aren't safe, then our body will say, when we're not safe, it goes into survival mode. That's when our body will produce more cortisol, which is a get things done. It's the hormone, natural hormone. We want cortisol. It wakes us up in the morning and gets us done, to get energy from somewhere. Or if we're really stressed about something, it's going to pair it with adrenaline. And adrenaline is that, like, if you've ever had to swerve out of the way of a car or something, and all of a sudden you've got all this energy, you might sweat a little bit, you might have your heart race, that's adrenaline. And that's a real survival hormone. If we've been operating in this way for too long, where we're overriding our need for rest, we're producing more cortisol, then what happens is our body will basically, we have precursors to hormones. They'll be like, I'm going to give you cortisol, I'm going to give you some energy, I'm going to give estrogen some energy, I'm going to give testosterone some energy, and we're going to have this nice little balance, and we're going to feel good, and all the hormones will be there. But because we're programmed to survive, when we have times of higher stress, when we're pushing through, the body's like, ooh, we need more cortisol. So estrogen, testosterone, you guys don't get any right now. We're just going to pump it into to cortisol. So then cortisol, we're producing more cortisol, but not producing estrogen and testosterone. So that leaves us in basically a hormonal overdraft. So we aren't producing the natural hormones that we should be and could be had we not been in this survival state. Hopefully that's making sense. So if you are tired and wired, if you get that second wind at night, you're like, oh, I was tired all day. And then 8 o'clock, I want to go to bed, but I'm like, that's too early to go to bed. So I'll just stay up. And then at 9:30, you're like, I'm awake. And then you can't get to bed till 1 o'clock. This is a sign that this hormonal cascade is off balance. If you wake up, have trouble settling, if you have trouble falling asleep, if you wake up between 1 and 3 in the morning, having heart palpitations, having anxiety, these are signs that your hormonal pathways are out of balance and you're prioritizing cortisol in your system and not actually producing the more juicy, calming estrogen, protective buffer of estrogen that we need, or testosterone. Hello, libido. Anyone have a really tanking libido? It can be kind of this. If you're losing muscle mass, if you're not motivated to work out, and when you work out, you feel just terrible after, that can be a sign that your testosterone's low. So there's all these cascades. And so, yes, we live in a modern time where we have like hormone replacement therapy or menopause hormone replacement, but that is, I always liken it to a having a bucket and we have holes in the bucket. And if we just put more water in the bucket but don't plug the holes, we're kind of missing the point. So hormones are great and helpful if that's what you want to do, but from a natural perspective, we need to plug the holes. And so what this might look like is slowing down, trying to not multitasking as much. It might take a little, it might have you go a little deeper, taking stock of the things or the people or the situations or work that feeds you and supports you, feeling that has you feeling good and excited, and starting to let go, release, shift, or even up level the things, the tasks, the people that don't feed, where you feel worse, where you feel drained at the end. We're not meant to live in the same way all the time. How we spend our time, how we connect with others, how we talk to ourselves, and where we let ourselves want what we want is where we're going to see the biggest changes. So consciously taking time, consciously noticing what your body's doing. When do you tighten? When do you release? When are you bullying yourself to keep going when really you need to take a break? And it doesn't have to take long. Sometimes it's just a minute or two, just being present. There's a lovely saying, be where your hands are. What's happening right here, right now, and being present with yourself. And that alone can make a huge difference to how you experience your life, how you experience your days, how you experience your energy, and ultimately your hormones. So I hope that was helpful. If this is of value to you, please let me know. Please pass it on to anyone else you think it might be valuable for. I'm here to help serve. I'm here to help offer wisdom and little tidbits of information to help you navigate this time with more ease and more grace. If you like this video, hit like, subscribe if you want more. Thank you for being here. I wish you a beautiful day, taking exquisite care of yourself in whatever way you need. Bye for now.